Chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has stilled the noise of the world just long enough for you to hear this. You are not scrolling by accident. This moment is not a coincidence. It is divine interruption, a sacred encounter meant to awaken what has been sleeping inside you. The Spirit has drawn you here because the final test has begun, and God is counting on you to stand when others fall away. For too long, you have carried questions that gnawed at your faith. You have wondered why your path has been heavier than most. Why the people around you could live carelessly while your soul was never allowed such ease. It's because you are marked. The chosen are never permitted to blend in. The light in them exposes darkness even when they say nothing. That is why resistance follows you. It is the proof that heaven has invested too much in you for you to quit now. When the weight becomes unbearable, remember this truth that has echoed through centuries. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. That is your inheritance. Chosen one. Power when everything feels uncertain. Love when the world turns cold. A sound mind when chaos screams for your attention. You have been equipped with everything you need to face the test before you. Do not let fear disguise itself as caution. Do not let doubt masquerade as humility. You are anointed for this exact hour. Heaven's eyes are upon you. Every time you resisted bitterness, every time you forgave when it hurt, every time you worshiped through tears, those were not wasted moments. They were markings of loyalty, recorded in heaven's archive. You didn't know it, but each act of obedience built the foundation for the mantle that now waits to rest upon you. The final test is not about your talent or your strength. It is about your heart, whether you will still obey when no one sees, whether you will still trust when God seems silent. This is where many turn back. This is where mercy waits, watching who will move by faith instead of emotion. You are standing at the place of separation, where those who are called become those who are chosen. You have felt the shaking. You have seen people drift away, doors close, seasons shift without explanation. Do not mourn what has left you. Everything that exits your life in this hour was never meant to cross into your destiny. God is pruning to preserve your power. You may not understand it yet, but obedience is the highest form of worship. Listen closely, the heavens are whispering your name. The same God who called Moses out of the desert, who raised David from the field, who brought Esther into the palace, is calling you now. Your wilderness was never meant to kill you. It was designed to teach you his voice. That is why everything familiar had to break, because what he is birthing in you cannot coexist with comfort. Do not delay. Do not negotiate with your purpose. The longer you postpone obedience, the heavier the battle will become. You cannot outrun your calling. Chosen one. God is waiting for your yes, not tomorrow, but now. If your spirit is stirring, if you feel that trembling deep within your chest, that is heaven confirming this word. Type 777 in the comments as a prophetic act that declares, I will not run. Like this message if it resonates. Share it so other chosen ones may awaken, and subscribe to stay connected to this stream of revelation. Your final test has begun, but take courage, you are not alone in the fire. You woke. You feel the weight now, the invisible pressure that sits on your chest when the calling becomes real. It is not the weight of failure. It is the gravity of destiny pressing upon you. The anointing you carry is not light, and that is why your journey has not been easy. Every chosen one must learn the cost of being set apart. You once prayed for purpose, and now purpose is demanding your all. There is a heaviness that comes with being called. You sense it in the quiet moments when everyone else sleeps, but your spirit remains restless. You feel it when your heart breaks for things others ignore, when injustice provokes you, when pain drives you to intercession instead of complaint. You have been marked with divine sensitivity. Heaven's heart beats inside you. That is why you cannot move through life casually anymore. You are carrying something eternal. Every step you take, every word you speak, every thought you entertain, it all matters more than you realize. The Father has entrusted you with influence in unseen realms. Angels watch your obedience. Demons tremble at your persistence. The unseen world recognizes your name even when the earthly world does not. The weight of your calling is not punishment. It is privilege. You are being trusted with divine responsibility. To carry the fragrance of heaven means you must endure the crushing that releases it. Oil only flows when the olive is pressed. That is the mystery of the chosen. Glory is born out of breaking. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits an appointed time. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." This is why you cannot give up, even when everything seems paused. The promise has not died, it is maturing. The waiting is not denial, it is refinement. Every delay is God preparing the stage so that when the time comes, you will be ready to stand without trembling. The vision is alive inside you, breathing, growing, becoming. Many have envied your anointing but could not bear your process. They saw the favor but not the fire, the gift but not the grinding that came before it. Only God and your scars know what it took to stay faithful when no one understood. You have carried burdens silently, smiled through storms, worshipped when your heart was breaking. These moments have shaped the warrior within you, the one heaven calls by name. Now, you are learning that obedience is heavier than sacrifice. The true test of faith is not in what you start, but in what you finish. God does not seek perfection from you. He seeks surrender. When you stop striving to prove yourself and simply yield, His strength replaces your exhaustion. Let the weight remind you that you are chosen. Let it humble you, but never let it break you. The same God who placed the assignment in your hands will sustain you until it is fulfilled. Your story is not ending in pressure. It is being purified for power. The weight is real, but so is His presence. And in that sacred balance, you are becoming who you were always meant to be. So breathe. Chosen one, do not fight the weight, carry it with grace. Every step beneath this holy pressure is shaping you into heaven's weapon of light. The fire is not your enemy. It is your unveiling. You are almost ready. Heaven watches, waiting for your rise. You remember the echoes of your past battles, the nights that nearly broke you, the mornings you rose when everything in you screamed to stay down. Those moments were not wasted. They were sacred rehearsals for this hour. Every scar you carry glows faintly in the spirit, a testimony that hell tried and failed. What looked like defeat was actually divine training. You have walked through valleys few could survive. You have tasted betrayal and still chosen forgiveness. You have stood in the ashes of loss and whispered, "Still, I trust you," and heaven saw it all. Every tear became a seed, and every wound became an entry point for glory. The Lord has been forging your strength in secret places, preparing you for a victory so vast it could not be built on comfort. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16, "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. But the wicked stumble when calamity strikes." That verse is not only truth, it is your story. You have fallen, yes, but you never stayed down. Something within you, something eternal, kept rising, kept believing. kept hoping even when your heart was breaking. That resilience was not yours alone. It was the Spirit of the living God breathing through your weakness, lifting you when your strength was gone. Every test was a mirror showing you what you carry. Every rejection was God's redirection. Every season of silence was heaven sharpening your discernment. You see now that the pain was never random, it was prophetic. You were being trained in the art of endurance because the mantle you are called to wear cannot rest on fragile shoulders. Do you remember those moments when it felt like you were forgotten? When prayers seemed unanswered and heaven felt far away? It was then that your roots grew deeper. God hid you, not to punish you, but to protect what He was developing inside you. Hidden seasons are heaven's incubators for greatness. Now you stand taller not because life got easier, but because grace grew stronger. You no longer move by feelings, you move by faith. You no longer depend on applause, you are sustained by obedience. You no longer crave recognition, you crave revelation. That is the mark of a chosen one who has been tested and found faithful. Look back at your scars and smile. They are not signs of failure, they are evidence of survival. Every bruise carries wisdom now. Every heartbreak has become a doorway through which light shines brighter. You are walking proof that what the enemy meant for evil, God is turning for good. The war was never about taking your joy. It was about silencing your purpose. But here you are, still standing, still believing, still burning with holy fire. And because you refuse to die in the dark, heaven is about to reveal you in the light. If you feel this truth resonating inside your spirit, type "I rise." Let that declaration be your spiritual echo, a way of telling the universe, I am still here, and I will not be moved. Every time you write it, you remind both heaven and hell that your story did not end in defeat. It ended in resurrection. The same power that raised Christ from the grave is alive in you. That power has carried you through storms and will carry you through the fire to come. You are not who you were. You are who you were always meant to become. The silence came after the storm. No voices, no signs, no sudden miracles, only stillness. It felt like the heavens themselves had shut their doors. You prayed, but the sky gave no reply. You waited, but nothing moved. That silence was not emptiness. Chosen one, it was instruction. Heaven teaches differently in those quiet hours. In the noise, you learn to act. In the silence, you learn to trust. God's greatest lessons are often wrapped in stillness, because only when everything stops can you finally hear what has been whispering all along. The final test is not only about your endurance, it is about whether you can still believe when there is no sound, no sign, no visible answer. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. That verse does not echo in moments of noise, it speaks loudest in silence. When everything seems still, that is when the promise breathes. You see, the absence of sound is not the absence of God. It is the space where faith matures. God does not prove himself through constant reassurance. He proves himself by remaining steady while teaching you to see him beyond what you can sense. In silence, distractions fade. The applause of people becomes irrelevant. You start to notice the rhythm of your own heartbeat aligning with heaven's timing. The Spirit begins to speak without words, through impressions, through peace, through an inner knowing that cannot be explained. You begin to realize that silence is not punishment, it is privilege. Only those trusted with deeper revelation are invited into that kind of quiet. This is the holy tension, learning to stand still while every part of you wants to move. Silence demands surrender. It strips away your need to control outcomes. It dismantles pride, humbles ambition, and replaces striving with stillness. When you finally stop trying to fix everything, God begins to move in ways you never could. Remember Elijah's story. The wind came, the earthquake came, the fire came, but the Lord was not in them. Then came the gentle whisper. The whisper is the voice of intimacy, and it can only be heard by those who wait in silence. You are being trained to listen differently. You are being taught to discern not by sight, not by sound, but by spirit. This is why God sometimes hides his voice. It forces you to grow your faith roots deeper than your emotions. Do not mistake quietness for abandonment. Do not assume silence means rejection. The Father is nearer than ever, sitting beside you in the stillness, watching how you respond when his voice is not obvious. The silence is your testing ground. How you handle it determines your readiness for revelation. There is a beauty in the still moments when you finally stop asking why and begin to whisper yes. The more you yield, the clearer his direction becomes. You begin to understand that the pause was never meant to break you, but to prepare you. The silence between seasons is where power gathers before manifestation. And when God speaks again, and he will, you will not just hear his words, you will understand his heart. You will walk with new authority because you learned how to trust in the dark. The silence will have accomplished its purpose. It will have made you steady, unshakable, immovable. Hold the stillness with reverence. It is shaping the sound of your next command. The quiet ground you stand on is holy. Heaven has not gone silent. Heaven is speaking differently. Listen again, you will hear it in the pause, in the breath between moments, in the whisper that says, "You are not alone." There is a battle no one sees, the one that rages within. You face it every time you want to obey, but fear whispers, "Not yet." This is the enemy within, the quiet resistance that hides behind excuses and comfort. It is not a visible demon, but an invisible delay. Every chosen one must face it, because the hardest war is not against darkness around you, it is against hesitation inside you. You know that voice. It says, maybe tomorrow, when God says now. It tells you to play safe when heaven calls you to step out. It disguises fear as wisdom and doubt as logic. But deep down, you know obedience delayed is destiny delayed. According to the ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 7, verse 19. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. That verse exposes the struggle every chosen one faces. The spirit is willing, but the flesh resists. Yet even here, grace meets you not to condemn, but to strengthen. God does not look at your hesitation with anger. He sees it as a space for transformation. He is patient, molding your will until it aligns with his. Inside this unseen war, your victories are small but sacred. Every time you say yes when fear screams no, you move heaven. Every time you choose faith over comfort, light conquers darkness a little more. Your obedience shifts atmospheres even when no one notices. And yet, obedience also asks for courage to act, to build, to sustain what heaven has begun. This message, these words reaching your heart, are part of that divine work. They exist because someone before you chose to say yes, to give, to support, to help the message of light continue reaching others who are still in the dark. If you have ever felt this message bring peace, hope, or strength, know this: you are part of something sacred. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not just clicking. You are striking sparks on heaven's anvil, helping this flame of truth travel through the digital wilderness until it finds another weary soul. And if your heart feels led, only if it truly feels led, you can donate. Think of it as pouring a drop of oil into the lamp that keeps this light burning through the night. It is not a transaction, it is worship. Every seed you plant becomes a candle in another's darkness. You are helping build a bridge of light, one act of kindness at a time. Imagine a river. Each gift, each share, each prayer is a ripple that widens the current, carrying healing to unseen shores. That is what you create when you give, not obligation but overflow. So if your heart whispers to act, follow gently. Like this word, if it breathed life into you, share it so it may reach another heart still trembling in the shadows. Subscribe to stay connected to the flow of these messages as waves of revelation continue. And if you ever choose to donate, do it with joy, knowing your kindness keeps the stream flowing ever clearer, ever brighter. You are not giving to a person, you are nurturing a mission. Together, we keep the fire alive. Together, we carry light into the night. You stand at the crossroads now, the sacred place between surrender and rebellion. It is not made of stone or dust, but of choices. Every step you take from here reshapes eternity's pattern. You can feel it in the air, that trembling pause before a divine shift. The question is no longer whether you are called. The question is whether you will answer. Heaven watches this moment in silence. Angels lean close, waiting to record your decision. You sense it deep in your chest, the weight of destiny pressing gently, urging you toward obedience. The longer you hesitate, the heavier it becomes. But when you finally move in faith, the chains that once felt immovable begin to fall with a sound only your spirit can hear. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. That promise still breathes. It was never meant for ancient ears alone, it echoes for you. Obedience is not about control, it is about alignment. When you obey, heaven's current flows freely through you. When you resist, the current halts and peace feels far away. The command to obey is not a cage, it is a key. It unlocks everything God has already prepared. You have been given glimpses of what is coming, flashes of future glory, but they remain just beyond reach until you take this step. It may cost your comfort, your pride, or your plans, but obedience always leads to something greater. God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for partnership. He wants to move through you, not around you. This is your holy intersection. One road leads to comfort without purpose, the other to purpose with cost. Heaven is not forcing your hand. Love never forces, it invites. Yet every second you delay, the fire of calling burns hotter. You were never made to live half awake. Sometimes the final test is not a storm outside, but a whisper inside. The whisper that says, let go. Trust me. Step forward. That voice is gentle but unrelenting. You can ignore it, but it will return. Again and again, until obedience becomes your only peace. Look at your journey, all the pain, all the waiting, all the near misses. None of it was random. Every moment has led you here to this exact decision. The crossroads is not punishment, it is promotion. God would not give you this choice if you weren't ready to make it. If your heart trembles, that's okay. Even Jesus trembled in Gethsemane before saying yes. Fear is not failure, it's the edge of faith. Step past it. Take one breath, one prayer, one act of surrender. Heaven is waiting for your yes. And the moment you give it, everything will begin to move again. Now pause. Feel that stirring in your chest. That is not emotion, it is confirmation. This message is not just for your mind, it is for your spirit. The door is open, all that's left is for you to walk through. If you can feel heaven pulling you right now, declare it below by typing 888, a prophetic number of new beginnings. Let it be your silent covenant, your invisible step forward. When you write it, you're not typing numbers. You're signing your yes into the story heaven is still writing. You are standing on holy ground, chosen one. Step. The next chapter is waiting. You have stepped into the fire now, the refining place where everything false begins to melt away. It is not the kind of fire that destroys. It is the kind that defines. Every chosen one must walk through it. It does not come to punish you, but to reveal you, to separate what was planted by fear from what was planted by faith. The refining fire burns quietly at first. It starts when familiar things stop satisfying you. The conversations that once distracted you lose their flavor. The habits that once comforted you suddenly feel heavy. That is how you know the process has begun. God is purifying your appetite, turning you from what is temporary toward what is eternal. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 66, verse 10. For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver. Silver cannot shine without fire. The refiner watches the silver closely, heating it again and again, until he can see his own reflection in it. That is what God is doing with you. Every test, every loss, every season that feels unbearable, it is the heat that reveals his image in you. When you can reflect his patience, his mercy, his endurance, the refining is working. Do not run from the heat. Fire can feel like rejection, but it is actually recognition. Heaven applies pressure only to those prepared for purpose. The greater the calling, the hotter the flame. You have been asking for strength. This is how it is given. Strength is not delivered, it is developed. In the fire, your faith is stripped of decoration. Words become simple. Prayers become raw. You stop asking for escape and start asking for endurance. You begin to understand that holiness is not about shining. It is about surviving the heat without losing your worship. There will be moments when it feels as if everything is being taken from you. Relationships may fall away. Resources may dry up. Dreams may fade. But if it can be burned, it was never eternal. The fire only removes what cannot follow you into the next season. What remains is unbreakable. The refining fire also exposes motives. You start to see where pride hid beneath passion, where fear hid beneath wisdom, where self-importance dressed itself as calling. God does not expose to shame. He exposes to heal. The truth must come to light before it can be set free. And as you stay in the flame, something sacred happens. Peace begins to replace panic. You stop begging for the fire to end because you realize it is no longer against you, it is working for you. Every spark becomes a sculptor's tool, carving the image of heaven into your soul. Do not rush this process. Gold does not argue with the fire that makes it valuable. It simply yields. The longer you stay surrendered, the purer you become. And when you emerge, others will see the glow in your eyes and not understand what it cost. They will see beauty, but you will remember the heat. This is how heaven promotes its chosen ones, not with applause, but with fire. You are being refined to carry something heavier, holier, and higher. What burns away now will make space for glory later. So, let the fire do its work. Stay still. Stay humble, stay faithful. When the refiner looks into your life and sees his reflection, he will know the process is complete. Then the fire will subside, the gold will cool, and the crown will be ready. The air grows still again. After the fire, there comes a whisper, a final call before mercy steps back. It is soft, almost tender, yet it carries the weight of eternity. You can feel it moving through your spirit, reminding you that grace is both a gift and a window, and that window does not stay open forever. Mercy has carried you through storms you never knew you could survive. It has covered you when you fell, shielded you when you doubted, and lifted you when your own strength collapsed. But mercy is not meant to be a permanent shelter. It is meant to lead you to obedience. There comes a time when heaven waits for you to act, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. From the book of Hosea, chapter 10, verse 12. Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground. For it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you. That verse is not a suggestion, it is a divine alarm. It says it is time. Time to turn the soil of your heart, to confront what has grown wild in neglect. Mercy has been the rain that softened you. Now the plow must move. If the heart remains unbroken, it cannot carry fresh seed. You know that feeling, that spiritual tension when something inside whispers, "You cannot keep living like this." That is mercy calling your name one last time. It is not angry, it is urgent. The same love that comforted you is now confronting you, because true love refuses to let you stay asleep while eternity waits. The danger of prolonged comfort is spiritual numbness. When you begin to confuse grace with permission, mercy quietly retreats, not in cruelty, but in sorrow. Heaven cannot bless rebellion it once rescued. That is why this moment matters. It is heaven's reminder that time is sacred. Every delay you justify carves distance between you and the voice that once felt near. Do not let familiarity harden you. Do not let pride convince you that you have time. The Spirit moves where hearts remain tender. But when the heart grows cold, even miracles lose meaning. The enemy does not need to destroy you outright. He only needs to keep you comfortable long enough for conviction to fade. This is the mercy before the silence. Heaven is still extending its hand, still saying, "Return." You do not have to fix everything, just turn. One movement of surrender is all it takes for the entire course of your life to shift. You have not gone too far. The door is still open, but every door has a hinge that creaks before it closes, and this is that sound. You may feel conviction stirring like a storm in your chest. That is not guilt. It is grace trying to reach you one more time. Do not drown it out with distraction. Sit with it. Let it move you. Let it melt what has hardened. The mercy that once carried you is now calling you to stand. You cannot remain in waiting forever. Seasons shift, and heaven's plans move forward. God's patience is vast, but not aimless. He waits, but he does not pause destiny for disobedience. Hear this clearly. Heaven is not angry with you. Heaven is invested in you. Mercy's final call is not a warning of wrath, but an invitation to return to wonder. You still have time to respond, but time itself is responding to you. Move before the stillness becomes silence. Answer before the whisper fades. The fire has quieted now, and from its ashes, a memory rises of promises spoken long ago, words you almost forgot, yet heaven never did. The covenant still stands. It was written into your life before you were even aware of your purpose. You may have doubted it, delayed it, even run from it, but the promise of God does not expire. You can feel the pull of remembrance deep in your spirit. It is as if the pages of your story are being turned back to the place where His voice first met yours. You see flashes, moments when His presence felt near, when dreams were clear, when your heart burned with a certainty that no disappointment could erase. Those moments were not illusions. They were markers. Heaven was signing its name across your destiny. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 23, "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." That verse carries the heartbeat of this section. He who promised is faithful. Time may have passed, people may have changed, circumstances may have shifted, but faithfulness does not decay. The covenant of God is written in eternal ink. What he declared in your wilderness still waits for fulfillment in your future. You may look around and see nothing resembling the promise. The ground looks dry, the prayers unanswered, the vision faint. But the covenant is not based on sight, it is sealed in spirit. God never forgets what he says. While you worry about time, heaven is working on timing. You are walking in what prophets call the in-between, the space where promise meets process. The danger of this place is not failure, it is forgetfulness. The enemy cannot erase what God wrote, but he can distract you long enough to make you stop reading it. That is why remembrance is warfare. Every time you recall what God said, you push back against despair. So take a breath and remember. Remember how he brought you through the impossible. Remember the nights you cried and still woke up with hope. Remember how the doors that shut against you only redirected your path toward purpose. Every memory of grace is a stone in your altar of faith. Heaven is whispering again, I have not changed my mind about you. The promise still holds power. The covenant still breathes. Your mistakes did not cancel it. They only revealed your need for mercy. God's promise was never dependent on your perfection, only on your willingness to keep walking. There are moments when the covenant feels heavy, like a chain around your heart. But it is not a chain, it is an anchor. It keeps you steady when storms try to pull you adrift. You are bound, not by duty, but by destiny. If you are reading this and your spirit feels that pull, that holy stirring of memory, it is time to respond. Not with fear, but with faith. Not with apology, but with agreement. The covenant still stands. The promise is still alive. Type I remember. Let it be your declaration, a quiet act of remembrance that says, I have not forgotten. Lord, and I know you haven't either. When you write it, heaven sees agreement, not words. It is your way of dusting off the old altar, of saying, I still believe. The covenant remains unbroken, and because he is faithful, so will you be. Something unseen stirs around you. The atmosphere feels different, charged, watchful. You are no longer hidden. The unseen realm has turned its attention toward you. Heaven watches with quiet pride, and hell watches with trembling rage. The watchers have gathered, not as spectators, but as witnesses. Your obedience is no longer private, it is a broadcast across eternity. Every small act of surrender sends ripples through dimensions. Every whispered prayer, every moment you chose faith over fear, has echoed louder than you could imagine. The angels record what the world overlooks. They see you rise from ashes again and again, choosing God when comfort would have been easier. That is why heaven calls you faithful. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. That light you carry cannot stay invisible forever. It was never meant to. You are not just surviving this season, you are shining through it. And every time you let your light show, darkness loses territory. That is why the warfare around you has increased. It is the sound of boundaries being redrawn. You may not see it, but your obedience shakes worlds. Every time you say yes to God, something shifts in unseen places. And when your obedience touches others, when your words, your story, your faith reach them, the impact multiplies. The watchers know that your yes will awaken others, that your courage will ripple through generations. That is why this moment matters so deeply. It is a strange feeling, isn't it, to know that your quiet faith carries cosmic consequence? It humbles you, yet it also strengthens you. You realize that you are part of something vast, something woven by divine hands long before you arrived. Messages like this are threads in that same tapestry. Each one finds its way to a heart that needs light, and every heart that receives it becomes another spark, another hilltop flame. That is how the kingdom expands, not through noise, but through light that refuses to go out. If this word has touched your spirit, know that you are already part of this great unfolding. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you are not just reacting, you are opening windows for light to pass through, helping others see what heaven sees in them. It's like lighting a lantern in a long corridor. Each action keeps the pathway illuminated for those still walking behind you. And if you ever feel moved to donate, do it as an artist would, pouring color onto the canvas of someone else's dawn. You are not paying for words. You are planting gardens in souls you may never meet. Each offering becomes a seed that will grow in places your feet may never step, yet your light will reach them all the same. Think of it as tending a fire in the wilderness. A few give wood, others bring sparks. Some simply guard the flame, but together, they keep it alive. That's what generosity is, shared guardianship of light. No one forced, no one pressured, only hearts joining in purpose. So if your heart ever feels that gentle nudge, don't resist it. Like this message, if it resonated, share it so another soul might catch the flame. Subscribe to stay near the fire as new words arrive. And if you ever choose to donate, let it be your personal act of worship, a way of saying, I will help keep the light burning. Your obedience shines brighter than you know. The watchers see it. Heaven honors it. And even now, as you read these words, your light is being reflected in realms you cannot yet imagine. You have come far. Chosen one. The path behind you is littered with ashes, yet every step forward glows with quiet victory. What once felt like endless breaking now begins to make sense. You are discovering the price of glory. Every tear, every loss, every surrender was not wasted. It was currency for what heaven is now entrusting to you. Glory is not light without cost. It is the residue of endurance, the radiance that clings to those who have walked through shadows and refused to curse the light. You have paid for your crown with unseen prayers and midnight obedience. No one but God knows how much it cost to keep believing when everything seemed lost. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, the second one, chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Those words carry weight only for those who have known pain. To call suffering light is not to dismiss it, it is to compare it against eternity and find it small beside what is coming. You are walking proof that the heaviest seasons can still produce beauty. Out of the soil of sorrow, fruit begins to grow. Out of crushing, oil begins to flow. The price of glory is misunderstanding. You have been misread, misjudged, and mistaken for ordinary. But you are not ordinary, you are chosen. Glory cannot rest on those who seek approval. It rests on those who seek obedience. Every rejection was a doorway to refinement. Every heartbreak an invitation to deeper surrender. You now carry a quiet strength that no platform could give. The kind of strength that doesn't need to be seen to be real. The kind that prays in silence. Loves without condition. Forgives without applause. That is the nature of true glory. It shines from within, not from spotlight, but from sacrifice. But You have also learned that the higher you climb, the lonelier it can feel. But solitude is not abandonment. It is sacred separation. God often hides his most anointed vessels away before revealing them, letting the glow mature in silence before it meets the world. You are in that maturing stage now, the place where God polishes your crown, unseen, while preparing the stage for your unveiling. Glory costs time. It costs pride. It costs your right to be understood. But when the refining is finished, what you carry will not fade. Fame flickers, applause dies, but glory remains because it belongs to heaven, not to man. And so you keep walking. You breathe deeper now, knowing the pain was not random. Every broken piece of your past is being fitted into something divine. The moments that made no sense are becoming part of a greater mosaic. Glory is what happens when pain finds purpose. There is peace now, not the kind that avoids storms, but the kind that can stand in them. You do not tremble like before. You have been forged too many times to fear another flame. Glory has rewired your reflexes. You no longer panic. You pray. You no longer run. You rest. Look at yourself now, the hands once trembling now steady, the heart once fearful now calm. You have become what fire cannot destroy. The glory of God rests on you, not loud, but lasting. And though no one may fully see it yet, heaven sees. Every scar is shining. Every wound is worship. Every sigh is sacred. You have paid the price. And soon, heaven will unveil the beauty you have become. Something has shifted in the unseen. You can sense it, subtle but undeniable. The air feels lighter, as if the weight of delay has finally lifted. The chains that once clung to your ankles have fallen silently to the ground. You are stepping into a space you have never known before, the freedom of full surrender. Everything changes here. The battles that used to drain you now feel smaller. The fears that used to define you now seem distant. What once looked like loss now shines with hidden purpose. You realize that obedience did not cost you your future, it delivered you to it. According to what is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This is that moment. The shift you feel is not imagination, it is confirmation. Heaven is releasing what has been held back until now. Every delay, every prayer that seemed unanswered, every silent night was leading to this unveiling. You have passed the test of trust, and now favor begins to flow like a river breaking its dam. You may not see it all yet, but you will feel it. Opportunities begin to find you instead of you chasing them. Conversations open doors you never knew existed. Even people who once dismissed you will begin to sense something different about you. That difference is the fragrance of surrender, the unmistakable scent of someone who belongs to God completely. Do not be surprised if the shift makes others uncomfortable. The light that now surrounds you exposes what others hide, and not everyone celebrates exposure. But do not dim your radiance to make others stay. You are not meant to shrink to fit the old rooms. You are meant to grow until walls fall away. There is movement in the spirit around you. What was once blocked begins to open. The prayers that seemed to vanish into silence are now returning as waves of fulfillment. The divine timing you once doubted is now revealing its perfection. The Lord was not ignoring you, He was aligning everything. Your steps now carry authority, and your words carry weight. The atmosphere listens when you speak because heaven's breath backs your voice. You walk not as one trying to prove, but as one who already belongs. The shift in the spirit is not about changing where you are. It's about changing who you are while you stand there. You feel lighter because the burden of control has been burned away. You no longer need to manipulate outcomes, you simply move with grace. This is the beauty of transformation: peace without explanation, joy without evidence, confidence without arrogance. But never forget, this shift is not the end. It is the beginning. The door that opened leads to greater responsibility, deeper faith, and wider influence. You will carry others with you through this new passage, teaching them that surrender is the secret path to strength. If you can feel this shift resonating deep within your spirit, type 9999 in the comments. Let that number be your silent signal to heaven that you recognize the change, that you agree with the transformation taking place. When you write it, you're not typing digits, you're acknowledging destiny. The shift is real, the season has turned, and your light, unstoppable, undeniable, is rising. There is a stillness after breakthrough, a sacred pause when heaven begins to clothe you with what the fire could not take. The mantle descends quietly, no trumpet, no lightning, no spectacle. Just a deep knowing in your spirit that something holy has settled upon you. It feels like peace, but heavier, like silence, but alive. This is divine authority being placed upon your shoulders. The mantle is not fabric or color, it is weight and wind. It is the invisible garment of responsibility that comes when God trusts you to carry His presence, not just experience it. Many desire anointing, but few are ready for the mantle, because the mantle carries both glory and gravity. It is not given to the loud, but to the loyal. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. That verse is not comfort alone, it is confirmation. When the mantle descends, God does not send you alone, He goes before you. His presence becomes your compass. His voice becomes your confidence. You begin to move not out of impulse, but out of instruction. The mantle comes after breaking because it cannot rest on pride. It comes after refining because it must land on purity. You endured enough loss to learn that not every battle needs your sword, only your surrender. That lesson was necessary, because power without humility always collapses. Now you stand as one who has been both emptied and filled. The person you were cannot wear what heaven has placed upon you now. You are not returning to who you were. That version of you was preparation. The fire stripped you of excess so that the mantle could fit perfectly. There is something different in your atmosphere now. Heaven recognizes it, and so does hell. The same attacks that used to work no longer find access. Your discernment has sharpened, your faith has deepened, and your steps carry weight in unseen places. You are no longer reacting, you are commanding. You no longer chase validation, you carry confirmation. The mantle is not for decoration, it is for demonstration. When you speak, things shift. When you pray, chains tremble. When you walk into rooms, peace follows. Not because of who you are, but because of what covers you. You have become a vessel of divine movement, an ambassador of heaven's authority on earth. Still, do not mistake the mantle for a rival, it is an assignment. It will stretch you, humble you, and call you into places you never planned to go. People may not understand what changed in you, and that's all right. The mantle does not seek attention, it seeks obedience. In time, the evidence of what you carry will become undeniable. Others will feel it before they name it. They will sense that you have been somewhere sacred. That is the mark of the mantle, it carries the scent of the throne room. Wear it gently with gratitude, guard it fiercely with prayer. Every morning you wake, Remember, the mantle is not a symbol of arrival but of trust. Heaven saw you survive the wilderness and decided you were ready to represent it. You are not simply blessed, you are entrusted. You carry the authority of one who has been proven in fire and approved in faith. The mantle now rests on you, and the world will never see you the same again. The wind shifts again. You can sense the tension in the atmosphere, that uneasy calm that always comes before a final storm. You have been mantled with glory, but now the battlefield stirs once more. It is the battle before the breakthrough, the last surge of darkness before dawn. This is the moment when the enemy throws everything he has left, hoping to make you retreat before your reward arrives. Do not be surprised by the warfare. It is not punishment, it is confirmation. Every wave that rises against you is proof that something powerful is about to emerge. When opposition intensifies, it means the gates of promise are near. The closer you are to fulfillment, the louder the noise becomes. But noise is not power, it is panic. The darkness trembles because it senses its expiration, as was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. That verse is not a distant reassurance. It is a declaration written into your DNA. Weapons may form, but they cannot finish. The storm may roar, but it cannot rewrite your story. The more you stand in faith, the more heaven fights beside you. You are not battling alone. You are part of a heavenly campaign already destined to win. The final battle always tests what you learned in the fire. It asks, will you trust what you cannot see? Will you hold your peace when chaos rises? This is not about physical enemies. It is about the war within the fight to keep your heart aligned when everything outside demands reaction. The battlefield will not look like you expect. It will come through fatigue, distraction, misunderstanding. Sometimes it comes through people who love you but cannot see what you see. The enemy aims not at your body but at your focus. Because if he can blur your vision, he can delay your victory. This is when you must remember who walks beside you. The mantle on your shoulders is not ornamental, it is armor. Your prayers are weapons sharper than any blade, and your praise is an earthquake to the enemy's camp. The storm is real, but so is the strength within you. There will be nights when the sky feels heavy again, when voices of doubt crowd your mind. But even then, remember, silence is strategy. Heaven sometimes hides its movement to train your trust. Just because you don't see angels doesn't mean they aren't standing guard. When fear whispers that you are surrounded, look again, you are. But not by darkness. You are surrounded by light, by mercy, by an invisible army that watches over every step. You are not losing ground. You are being positioned. The battle before the breakthrough is designed to expose every last trace of fear. It squeezes out what cannot enter the next season. Every pressure, every conflict, every delay is heaven's way of ensuring that only faith crosses the threshold. So do not waste energy fighting shadows. Lift your eyes to the horizon instead. The sky may be bruised, but the light is gathering behind it. You are moments away from dawn. The enemy always roars the loudest when he knows he's already lost. Hold your ground. Do not retreat into old patterns. The storm is not sent to stop you, it's sent to announce you. Let the thunder roll. Let the winds howl. The sound is not your destruction, but your debut. Soon, the clouds will part, and what was hidden will be revealed. The battle is almost over and victory quiet, steady, eternal is drawing near. The storm is broken, Light begins to spill across the horizon, washing the battlefield in gold. The air is thick with aftermath, quiet, clean, and holy. You are standing in the place that once tried to bury you, and yet here you are, alive, glowing, changed. This is the rising of the chosen. The earth recognizes you differently now. There is an authority in your steps, a calm in your breath. You have walked through fire, waited through silence, battled through despair, and still, your faith stands. The fragrance of victory clings to you, not loud or boastful, but steady and sacred. You were hidden for a season so that, when revealed, you would reflect only His glory. As the Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 2, verse 9, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light." That is you, the light bearer, the called out one. You are no longer the one searching, you are now the one others will find. Your rise is not for fame, it is for function. Heaven raises chosen ones not to be admired, but to awaken others still asleep in the dark. Your life becomes a lighthouse, and your obedience is the beam that guides the lost back home. You are rising, and as you rise, others feel the pull. The same fire that refined you now ignites them. That is how the movement begins, one obedient heart at a time. You are no longer just a receiver of light. You are a carrier of it. Every word you speak and every act of kindness, every silent prayer, these are your seeds of awakening. They fall like sparks into the hearts of those still wandering, and one by one, they begin to glow. This is how heaven builds its kingdom, through living flames who refuse to go out. If this message has reached the hidden parts of your spirit, let it live on. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, it's not about numbers, it's about sending ripples through eternity. Like dropping stones of light into a quiet lake, each action extends the reach of hope to someone whose hands are slipping. And if your heart ever feels the gentle urge to donate, do not see it as giving away, but as planting orchards for souls you may never meet. Each offering is a seed that grows into shelter for the weary, fruit for the hungry, light for the lost. It's the purest kind of generosity, love that travels beyond sight. And when this message settles in your heart, pause a moment, then leave a comment, even just a few honest words. Think of it not as text on a screen, but as a candle placed beside others, forming a river of light across the dark. Your words may be the very flame that warms someone's frozen hope tomorrow. Subscribing is like tending that river, watering it with presence, keeping it alive. You return not just to receive, but to help the flow continue. There is no pressure in light, it simply shines. Every act, like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, is worship when done in love. Together, these small lights form constellations across the night. You are the rising, you are the light, and together the chosen ones become the dawn. Now comes the quiet reward, the kind that doesn't arrive with applause or noise, but with deep exhale. The storm has passed, the tests are behind you, and heaven begins to reveal what endurance was building all along. You stand beneath the gentle weight of fulfillment, the kind that humbles more than it excites. This is the reward of endurance. You look back and finally see the pattern. Every delay was a thread, every heartbreak a stitch, every unanswered prayer a quiet color in the fabric of what God was weaving. You once called it chaos, now you see it was choreography. None of it was wasted. Even the waiting seasons you despised have become sacred ground, for they birthed wisdom that no victory could teach. According to what is revealed in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, let us not grow weary in doing good, For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That is the rhythm of heaven sowing, waiting, reaping. The harvest does not come to the talented, it comes to the steadfast. You have endured, and now the fields of your faith begin to bloom. The fruit you see is not just what you prayed for, it is also who you have become. Patience grew roots where panic once ruled. Trust took the place of control. Gratitude replaced grumbling. The reward is not merely what you receive, it is what you now embody. You carry peace that cannot be shaken, faith that does not waver, love that does not depend on being understood. You have become evidence that endurance is divine. It is strange how time softens your view of the past. What once looked like wilderness now feels like preparation. You realize God was never silent. He was teaching you a different language. You learn to hear Him in pauses, to find Him in detours, to love Him without conditions. That is the kind of intimacy no shortcut could buy. And now, as heaven releases favor over you, there is no pride in your heart, only awe. You know what it cost to stand here. You know what it felt like to want to quit and still whisper, "I'll keep going." That quiet persistence built something unshakable inside you. The reward of endurance is not comfort, it is clarity. You begin to see through the fog of old fears. You recognize that the true miracle was not that the fire ended, but that you came out of it still believing. You thought you were waiting for the promise, but the promise was waiting for the version of you that could hold it. Now you walk lighter. You no longer measure success by outcomes, but by obedience. You don't chase open doors. You trust that what is yours will open in time. You've learned that sometimes the reward isn't a new thing, but a new heart. The kind that can find God anywhere, even in the middle of the unknown. You realize endurance was never about surviving. It was about transforming. You endured, and now your presence carries peace. Others will draw strength from your scars without even knowing the story behind them. You are the living proof that waiting never wastes what is surrendered. Heaven smiles quietly at such souls, the ones who stayed when it made no sense, who prayed when no answer came, who believed when everything screamed stop. These are the ones God can trust with legacy. And now legacy begins not loud, but luminous. What you endured becomes light for those who will come after. Your faith has not only survived, it has multiplied, and that is your true reward. And now you stand at the summit, the place where the journey began and ended all at once. The road behind you glows faintly in memory, every valley shimmering with the silver light of redemption. You can feel it in your bones, that sacred sense of completion. The final test was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to reveal you. And now, as dawn spills across eternity's edge, you understand why it all had to happen the way it did. You are not walking toward a throne built of gold, but toward a crown forged in grace. Each hardship was a hammer, each tear a drop of molten light shaping the metal of your destiny. You wear it now, not above your head, but within your spirit. It shines quietly, like a promise kept, as recorded in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11. "I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown." That is the charge for every chosen one who endures to the end. The crown is not merely a reward, it is identity solidified. It is the visible sign of invisible faith. The proof that heaven trusts you with what it values most, influence rooted in humility, power anchored in love. The kingdom you now stand in is not distant or abstract. It unfolds around you with every act of mercy, every word of truth, every moment of compassion that flows from your life. You carry the kingdom within you. Everywhere your foot touches, it expands. You are no longer just part of God's plan, you are a vessel of its fulfillment. You begin to see how everything was connected: the silence, the fire, the waiting, the refining. None of it was wasted. Every wound became a doorway through which light entered. Every loss created space for something eternal to take root. You once asked for answers, now you carry understanding. The final test was never about passing or failing, it was about transformation. God did not measure your perfection, He measured your perseverance. Every time you stayed when it was easier to leave, heaven recorded it. Every time you forgave instead of retaliated, the kingdom advanced through you. You were being shaped into something indestructible, something divine. And now, as the light settles over your life, there is no triumphal shout, only quiet worship. You realize the greatest victory is not in conquering others, but in conquering yourself. You have learned to live from a different center, the still place within where God's voice speaks without sound. You no longer chase blessings, you become one. Your presence is peace to others, your words healing, your life a testimony of grace's endurance. That is the kingdom in motion, not a distant throne, but divine power flowing through human hands. The crown you carry is not for display, it is for service. You bend lower now, not higher. The glory on you is weight, not glitter, a responsibility to lift others as you were lifted. The light you once sought now shines through you freely, effortlessly, as if heaven and earth have found harmony inside your chest. And as you stand there, crowned yet humble, victorious yet gentle, you understand what it all meant. You were never being tested for destruction, but for revelation. You were always meant to rise, to reign, to reflect. The kingdom moves through you now quietly, steadily, eternally. The message has come full circle. The journey of the chosen ones has reached its final breath. But the fire does not fade, it moves. It moves through you now, through your words, your choices, your kindness, your courage. Every ending in the kingdom is only a doorway to a deeper beginning. You have walked through storms, silence, and refining fire, and yet your heart remains open. That is where heaven continues its story. If this word has found you, if it met you in a place you didn't even know needed light, then let it keep living. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you're not feeding an algorithm, you're setting a lantern on the water, allowing the current to carry this light into places you'll never see. There are hearts adrift in the dark right now who need what you've just received. Leave a comment, even a single sentence from your heart. Think of it as placing your own candle beside this one, so that someone passing through later might find warmth in your flame. Every honest word you leave behind becomes part of a constellation of voices declaring hope still lives here. And if you ever feel the quiet nudge to donate, let it be an act of beauty, not obligation. Picture it as pouring oil into the lamp, ensuring the fire continues for the next traveler who stumbles through the night. Every drop sustains the glow that has now reached you. The world is darker than ever, but light spreads fastest through willing hearts. Together, we keep it alive. Like, share, comment, subscribe, or give only as love leads you. The kingdom moves through open hands, not pressured ones. The message lives on through you now. Carry the flame.